And now, weighing in out of the blue corner, Josh the Punk Thompson. 100%. And on the other mic, he weighs in from the red corner, Big John McCarthy.
Well, hello and welcome. It was the UFC Fight Night from Mexico City. Those poor fighters had to fight at that altitude, but I'll tell you what, you could not tell that they were at that altitude because they all came in shape, ready to go. It was a hell of a night with a lot of finishes. My man Josh Thompson is ready to talk about the whole thing. But how was your day before we start?
Oh, man, it was a long day. I took a red eye last night back from Vegas because I did a show out there, Baroka number 2, with, a friend of mine. It's his promotion. And so we did a show out there, and it was good. It was good to be part of it. And, yeah, it was good.
Good fights?
Yeah, so I got a little concerned because
I got a little
four
concerned.
fights like 2 days before the event. They
4
fights.
Okay.
And so, they lost 5. So then that put them down to 9. And then they lost literally like the day before, before weigh-ins. The day before weigh-ins, they lost another 1 or 2. So we had 8 fights total. And the first,
it's like an old UFC.
Yeah, but then the problem was the very first 2 fights finished in the first round. I was like, oh no, this whole show is gonna be an hour and a half.
That's perfect.
Yeah, you're right. For us, but if you're the TV network that they're hosted on, they're on the
company
called Spectation on the app, and so we were able to kind of not drag it out, but we were able to get a.
Yeah, you drug it out. You drug it out. You were dragging it out.
We filled for about 10 minutes in between each 2 fights, and then we ended up having 2 fights that went the distance. Like Emmanuel Sanchez, he fought on it. Okay. And he had a good performance. I felt like he could have done a little bit more, but he was kind of winning the fight, and good performance for him though. Good to see him back on the win track. He's going up to 160, 155, 160, so somewhere in there. But he just likes to fight at whatever weight he's walking around at, and we'll see what happens for him now on. So, but the main event and co-main event were really good. So Alberto Trujillo out of San Diego from the old Alliance, with Angela Hill and those guys, and Jeremy Stevens, they were all out there, and he fought Galvan, the Israel Galvan, and it was a good fight, man. They got after each other, flyweights, but Trujillo just put a lot of pressure on him, and it was just kept going, and Galvan just had the power, and he was able to make him respect him a little bit. But man, it was a good fight, bloodbath. Trujillo got a little cut on his head, but it bled like a fucking faucet. It was all over the place. So, but it was a good fight. You know what I miss? I got to tell you this. I miss the Strikeforce days of the vinyl canvases because it has the.
But Strikeforce wasn't vinyl.
Yeah, it was.
No, it wasn't. I'm telling you, it was a cross. There was one thing that I loved about the Strike
material, John.
It had vinyl, but it also was it was a cross weave, and Strikeforce had the best canvas or covering there was because it really didn't get that slick if it was wet because of the canvas cross in it, but it didn't burn the shit out of you either.
Yeah,
if you were on the ground. So it was really a good, I loved their mat surface. It was great.
Okay, so like I said, it was vinyl. It was a cross. Okay, so it was a cross, but
it was
it's
the only one I ever saw that was a cross, and I asked him about it.
Yeah,
because it was great.
They're not expensive, which is I'm surprised by more promotions, especially lower level promotions, don't use them because it also creates action. Because on the vinyl, right, or not the vinyl, but on the canvas, it's like harder to hip escape away and create space. In the vinyl or the vinyl crosses, it seemed a little bit easier to push on the hips or, do the scissor guard and able to make space because I could slide a little bit and create more space. And it made the fighters either push forward and stay in the top position, or it gave the opportunity for the bottom fighter to kind of hip escape and make space to get back to their feet, which led to more exciting fights.
If you're going to say a full vinyl covering, I hate them. I've had too many fights that are wrecked.
Yeah,
by a full vinyl covering because it does get slick, and as soon as it gets slick, then it's guys are skating across and they're falling down. Especially if you do one outside, and because I don't know if you've ever heard the Stub Hub down in Carson, California.
Oh yeah.
Okay, the Stub Hub is known as for boxing for the most part, but man, it's a great place. It's a tennis courts for
I saw
used to
Paul
be
Williams and Margarito. They fought there.
Yeah.
Yep.
But the StubHub was a great place, but it's near the beach. And on certain nights, the inversion layer comes in, and we were doing a show for RFA back then, and it was Pedro Martinez. Pedro Martinez was taking on Jeff Curran. Excuse me, Jeff Curran, and man, they were skating all over the place. It was, and you talk about hip escape.
Yeah.
Guy would hip escape, guy would drive into him and slide him all the way across the thing into the cage, right? You go, oh, this sucks.
Something similar was one of the guys tore his knee out. It was in the World Series of Fighting. I think it was like their last show of being the World Series of Fighting before they turned to the PFL.
You talking about the one they did like in Daytona Beach?
Yeah,
or
Daytona
like
Beach.
Yeah.
Yep. And it rained. Guys were sliding all over. Fitch, I was out there cornering Fitch. He had a fight there. He got clipped right off the bat, and I was like, oh, fuck. And he was able to kind of come back and get the little ninja choke. But still, regardless, it was a rough fight for him. They were sliding all over the place, but I remember 2 fights before Fitch went on, 2 or 3 fights before.
Was that against Brian Foster?
I believe it was.
Yeah.
I believe it was. Yeah. Yeah.
He's a tough dude.
Yeah. No, he was. But I mean, Fitch was just a different breed.
Yeah.
I mean, after watching his GSP fight, people should know, like, he could take a lot of damage.
He's a caveman.
He was game.
He's a caveman.
Very much so. Yep, still is. Still is. But yeah, that being said, I mean, like, I remember the guy, he like slipped in one of the transitions, and his knee buckled out. So the bottom portion of his knee buckled inward, and his ankle went outward. And I remember he just tore his knee right there on the spot. So
not good.
But I thought Barroca had a good event. Emmanuel Sanchez, he went the distance with his guy, and then the main event and co-main event, they definitely delivered. Some good young and up-and-coming talent that's being featured on there. What I like that Randall's doing with his promotion is he's making sure that it's about quality and not quantity. So he's not doing, 30 fights, to sell tickets. He's doing, 10 to 14 fights. Unfortunately, this time, he lost some fights, but that happens. We know this. I mean, even in Bellator, we would lose fights all the time. I remember Strikeforce days, we'd lose fights all the time. So,
yeah, but when we had like 23, it was like, good, we lost some fights.
Yeah, right. Right. Fuck. I remember doing the fights we had 22 fights in Ireland. And I was like, man, talk about a long day. By the end, by the time you get to the main card, your voice is hoarse.
Oh, you're done. You're toast.
You're exhausted. So it was good. I went out, and then Rich Chow was out there also. So him and I flew back on the 1 a.m. red eye flight, got back by 5 a.m. I was able to make my kids' soccer game and lacrosse game.
There you go.
A question for you.
Good for you, Dad.
Yeah, but I have a question for you on the dad portion of it. Like, my son is like, he's pretty good. So he's pretty good at lacrosse.
No, your son's damn good.
What we're having problems with is he's playing like on his age group right now for rec, because right now it's rec season. So his comp teams or his travel teams, they all stop during rec season, which is good. I think it's good to spread, help get the other kids that are in the community, try and get them involved into learning how to play lacrosse. But he plays on the 3-4. He plays also up on the 5-6 every once in a while, but he's getting a little frustrated with the 3-4s. Not the kids that he plays with, just the fact that, like, the refs are a lot more careful with letting kids
they call more things,
more stuff. And I can tell that he's getting bored, and it's becoming a problem. Like, he just, like, I said, hey, like, you want to play a second game? He's like, nah, I'm good. I get it. And like, when he plays up on the 5-6, in the 6th grades, they're just so much bigger. So we get concerned about him, but good thing he's got some wills. But it just comes down to, like, you gotta play with that. Do you let him play up? I wish we're gonna, but I'm saying, you got to be careful with him because he's not a big kid, so it's like, I got to be careful with him. Or because I don't want the dad ego to get involved with, like, hey, you'll play up, and these kids, you can play on them with this level and this and that. I
always say that it's always good, and parents are always going to be the way they're going to be as far as, oh, my son is playing up, and okay, that's great, but it's not always good in the long run, because all it takes is one bad experience to change that kid's attitude towards the sport. And I'm not saying it's going to happen, but it can. And the one thing I would say is it's also in reverse the other way. When you have teams that he's just not interested in because they're not playing the way he knows the game's supposed to be played. And so when you have those, you say, hey, You tell me, are you having fun out there? Because that's the most important thing. I want you to have fun. And if you're not having fun, then instead of going to this and playing this game, we'll go do something else. We'll go train. We'll go, make ourselves better for when we're playing on whatever team it is.
Yeah, like today, I mean, he had a couple goals, but it was more like he was just distributing the ball everyone to make sure they got their goals. I mean, they won like 18-1. And it was just one of those, I mean, in the rec, there's such a discrepancy. There's like a couple good areas. You got Highland Park, which they have a really good team. You've got, Hebron, they've got a good team. Some different areas have really good lacrosse teams. And so like, he's always up to play them because a lot of those kids that play on those teams, they're on his club team. And so it's nice to see he likes to play against his teamates, that he plays on his club team with. So a little bit of bragging rights.
Yeah, he got a little bit he definitely got a little bit of you in him.
Yeah, unfortunately he's been on the losing end of the Highland Park ones because they've got a really good group of kids.
That's good.
But yeah, anyways, I was just wondering because I mean, like, I got to the point today where the coach on the other team was literally like, he yelled something to my son, but he was also yelling to some of the other kids on our team. But he was cussing at Kellen. And so I know it was just very, very disgusting. And then he told these kids not to shake our hands afterwards and this and that. I'm like, it just was a different level. We're on different levels in terms of the sport, but
you'll get that when it comes to kids sports. There's and this is where you'll get a lot of parents that'll sit there. It's just not right. You don't have to win 18-1. And it's like, excuse me, the game is meant for what? You to go out there and try to score as many goals as you can, be as good as you can be. Why do you want those kids you expect those kids to go out there and not be as good as they can be? That's the dumbest idea ever.
Well, it would have been, like, I gotta be honest, we've got 4 good players on our team that all play, the other 4 play club, and the 4 of them, Kellen and the other 3, they just sat out pretty much 3/4 of the game, half the game, because there's like, and when they were out there, they were just facilitating. They were just passing to kids that hadn't scored all season.
See, but that's what you ask your players to do.
Ask my son to do.
That's exactly. You're sitting there saying, hey, I don't want you to score. I want assist. I want you to throw the ball to someone else to score. I want you to do this. You're always having those things. It's no different than going into a fight where the guy that you're training is way better than this guy. Mm-hmm. It's just that this was the fight that we could get. Hey, I don't want you to take the fight to the ground. And your guy's a ground fighter. I want you standing up. First round, you got to stand up. No takedowns. And why do you do it? You do it because, hey, I need to put you in a position where, you know what, you're learning still, you're doing something, you're practicing the things that we've done. You don't have to get the win right away.
Yeah, it's true. All right, well, hey, let's go ahead and talk about the UFC fight night in Mexico. I mean, overall, though, let's just go ahead real quick and mention that betustv.com, betustv.com. Follow over there for more sports, man. I was watching the Texas Tech game. They fucking gave it away tonight. Killed me. They had Florida beat. There was 2 minutes left, up by 6, missed 2 free throws. Gimme points. They came down, shot a 3 and shot a 2, and boom, they were down by 1. And then after that, you could just tell Texas Tech started to fall apart with like a minute and a half left. I was like, no, they ended up losing by, I think, 5 or 6. Like, you're up by 6 and you lose by 5 or 6? What the
pressure? What does pressure do?
It is. It's funny because I see it with the kids' sports too. My son played soccer today when I first landed, and they were up 2-1, and there was 6-7 minutes left, and Kellen committed a foul in the penalty box, and they got a PK, and it tied it up. He was like,
whoops.
Yeah, I mean, he plays a little. I mean, soccer's a contact sport, but Kellen plays a little rough. He's
I think, when you sit there and you have him play lacrosse and soccer, they translate well, but lacrosse is a very physical game.
Yes, it is.
And so he's going to get used to bumping into people. That's just the way it is.
Yeah.
Rubbing is racing.
The sad part about soccer is that kids these days, especially in the 10U and like 12U, they have learned how to flop.
Oh, that's because who do they watch?
Yeah, it's so sad. It's so sad. And I'm not saying that the kid flopped because my son definitely, him and another one of his teammates, they came out at the same time. And there was no reason for them. It was like 2-on-1. Why'd you guys have to foul? Like, they just made a mistake. It is one. But yeah, just had some moments. Yeah. Anyways, enough about the dad stuff. And let's go ahead and talk about some sports, and let's talk about the fights tonight. And did you have any problems with your app tonight?
Yeah, I had problems. I had to re-sign in to get the fights.
You probably didn't know your password.
Pissed me off. No, I didn't. It
Your
pisses
wife,
me off.
Miss McCarthy, can you
I'm
go
like,
figure this
God
out for me?
damn it. I had to go. I had to ask my wife, hey, do you know what she got it on her phone and stuff. Yeah, it pisses me
Notice
off.
that I've had to sign in more often with them since they transferred over to Disney. Since they did the whole Disney thing and whenever they merged their app or whatever it was, like I've had more.
Get access. I had access. You screwed it up.
Yeah, and so this is what happened with me tonight. And look, and the app has normally worked for me really well. I had the one night where I couldn't get the pay-per-view, it wouldn't let me buy it. I was fucking having a breakdown. And
so you buy it tomorrow, it's $10 off.
I was flipping out. I was flipping the fuck out. But there was that. But then tonight, literally what it was, the sound didn't match up with the fight. And so DC and Laura would go, oh, beautiful shot. But then the shot hadn't landed yet. And then like a second and a half, 2 seconds later, boom, the shot landed. I'm like, this sucks. This is really...
especially in that order. It's okay if you see the shot, it's like, and then all of a sudden 2 seconds later, beautiful shot. Okay.
Yeah, they're all excited. Yeah, it just so there was that, and then the sound would just cut out, and I wouldn't get sound for like 6 seconds or 10 seconds. Yeah, so I mean, it didn't have any other issues with it in terms of, but like that, even when I turned it off, reset it between rounds, it would work, work normal for 15 minutes or so, and then it would go back to doing that. And I was like, so the whole main event, I actually heard the fight before it actually happened. It was like, beautiful shot by Erceg. Oh, what a great counter by Moreno. And then I was like, what's happening? Wait, what? And then, oh, there it is. So it is what it is. But yeah, man. I mean, it is what it is. I hope they get this thing fixed. I wonder if it just feels kind of weird that they're having all these problems. Right,
it's part of the reason the UFC is really looking towards other things, that there's been a lot of problems. There's been problems.
I thought it's one of the best working apps. I've never really had problems with it pretty much the whole time they've been with ESPN.
I know people that have had, tried to buy the pay-per-view and can't, or they buy it and then it goes out and they can't watch the fights.
Yeah.
And it's like, I had it for, it went out for a while, but I was able to get on just as the fights were starting and stuff. So, okay. I don't need the preview stuff, but it's like, it's frustrating.
Yeah.
It's like, what the hell? What's going on? I paid.
Yeah.
It's not like I'm trying to steal it.
Well, we'll see. We'll see what happens, where they end up.
I think we have an idea.
We will see. We will see.
My farm needs the earth, the air, and the water. I get my energy going on Element Electrolyte Drink Mix. Clean, good-tasting energy that feeds me like I feed my plants and animals. And after a long day on the tractor, when it's time to shoot the podcast, I drink Element so that I can stay energized and stay salty. Let's get it on.
Let's go ahead and jump right into the fights. What was your take on Brandon Moreno versus Steve Erceg?
I thought Brandon Moreno actually looked, in my opinion, he looked good. He looked much more controlled and calculated than we've seen him in the past. He was trying to be elusive with his defense. He's trying to give feints, and then he would react. And many times he'd give double, triple feints to get Erceg to react, and then he would explode on the counter and stuff. And I thought a lot of those were really well-timed, well-placed shots. They had power on them. I think, the biggest difference, if you're going to look at this fight, and if people are, sitting there and they're trying to understand, well, but why did Brandon Moreno win 49-46? I had him winning 49-46. Okay. He landed the heavier shots by far. And that's what the judges are going off of. When you have two guys that are throwing, Erceg landed some shots. How many of them had a big effect on Brandon Moreno? Not a lot. And he had a nice teep kick up the middle, but he was throwing a jab at times. And I mean, DC's, difference between Erceg and Moreno. He says, Moreno's throwing it out there, hitting hands, but Erceg's, his are landing. I'm like, no, they're not. Sometimes they are, but most of them aren't. And you take a look at the, punch stats and everything, probably pretty close, but power-wise, Erceg got hit with much more power throughout the fight than he was able to deliver on Brandon Moreno. And it was the difference in the fight. I thought, it's either the second or the third round I gave to Erceg. That was the one round I gave him. But he waited and waited and waited. And you go, son, you are in Mexico City fighting a Mexican fighter. I'm not saying the judges are against you, but the crowd's against you. And, when everything that you do, no one's going to sit there and cheer or anything like that. But everything that he does, those fans are going to get all excited. And it's just a thing that gets into, it can get into a judge's head and stuff. And if it's a close round, and, they were saying that there was a couple close, maybe, but there was a couple ones that was easy to see. It was Brandon Moreno that was winning the round. And I thought that Erceg he did not step on the gas the way he needed to.
You took the words right out of my mouth, John. Like, there was no sense of urgency whatsoever.
No.
There was no killer instinct when he did land good shots. He just seemed comfortable being out there. Look, I thought he's a very talented fighter.
Absolutely. He's got skills.
Yeah, he's technically sound. He's got good defense. I thought, he's got a great jab. I was surprised he didn't keep going with the kicks. I know DC was mentioning that. Like, he got away from him after the first round, especially when that Brandon Moreno's had problems with people kicking him, in the fights.
Yeah, hurting his legs.
Yeah, go to the calves. He's got a wider stance. I would have went to the calf early and often. And if you got taken down, you got taken down. But look, as long as you don't get submitted, those things that's just money in the bank. Just, do your work early in the first 1-2 rounds. And by rounds 3, 4, 5, it's a different fight. So you're just putting money in the bank, hoping that it adds up for later on. And he got away from it after round 1. The thing that I think what bothers me is that you need to have a corner. And I couldn't hear what the corner was saying. I was having problems with my sound. Bottom line is, that says, hey, this fight could be 2-2. It could be 3-1. But either way, it doesn't seem like you're winning. And you're in Mexico City. So you either need to step on the gas and get him out of here in round 5. Or we can just pack up and go home now.
Yeah.
I mean, be honest with your fighter. You're the main event. You got to get it done.
You do.
There was no sense of urgency. And I think when you get these opportunities in these moments, and Keto George and I were talking about this right before, is he's got to be able to capitalize on these. And the thing is, this division's so shallow. That's why he got such a push to the top so fast. He had great performances.
Exactly. Yeah.
But there's not a lot of fighters for him to fight. And not a lot of those guys are on his level. Like, you've got the top 5, but that's it. Like, he's going to fall out of that top 5, top 6, whatever it is.
Yeah.
But he's going to beat all the guys that are behind him.
Yeah.
Maybe one will trickle in and maybe get him, but he's going to be in that position. I'm looking at what's going on right now, and I think to myself, I'm like, you either got to figure out the killer instinct, got to go for the gusto, or you got to just keep doing what you're doing and just be happy collecting a check. Because right now, something's not working for you. You're technically sound. You're a very talented fighter. I'm surprised he didn't try to mix it up at all in the grappling. He's got good grappling. Yeah. Brandon Moreno fought a very good conservative fight. And John, I think for him, this was I felt like he felt controlled out there to where he's like, look, as long as I don't leave myself out of position, I'm winning these rounds. But you got to be careful because you don't know how the judges are going to, judge or score it. But I think he felt pretty comfortable being in Mexico. Going, hey,
I think so.
I feel like I'm winning it. I thought the same thing you did. He was landing the harder, cleaner shots that were having an effect on Erceg. And so overall, though, a great performance by Brandon Moreno, very composed. We're not used to really seeing him fight that way. We're used to seeing him fight more balls to the wall.
Which I give him credit, and I give his coach, Syed Sood, great job of getting him to relax in the fight. Take those moments that you can and open up, and then don't leave him openings to counter if you can. Reset, go about doing it again. I thought it was all, well done, well played out. I thought, his coach told him, hey, you can take it to the ground. Your wrestling is good. He did. It does. Even if you don't get the takedown, it makes the opponent at least go, oh, I have to think about this. And so when you're thinking about it, it makes you just that, let's say 1/10 of a second slower.
Yep.
Because you're thinking about it. And so all of those things play into it. They're both, both of them are still young fighters. Brandon Moreno's been a 2-time champion, but he's only 31?
Something like that.
32 years of age, somewhere in there. I mean, he's got a lot of years left on him still. And he's now fighting much smarter, not taking the damage that he took, which is really good. But Erceg's got a career in front of him. He really does. Because if you take a look at the people that are, in front of him in those rankings, he can handle all of them. if he fights the right fight.
I mean, right now he's at number he's at number 8. So he's gonna probably drop maybe 1, possibly.
Yeah.
You know, you've got Alambayev, and then you've got Tiger, so Ulanbekov. Both those guys may be able to get above him. Ulanbekov might be able to. Alambayev is pretty damn good as well.
Yeah.
But that's kind of the mix. You know what I mean? But you've got guys that are there. So Kai Kara France, Tyra, you got Alex Perez. There's fights there for him to be had. He can beat some of those guys. Like I think he has a good chance against Kai Kara France.
Kai Kara France, I think he matches up well with. Even Albazi, he's going to give problems to.
Yeah.
And those guys are sitting up there, pretty high. Brandon Royval, that's a tough fight.
Absolutely.
But he has the skills to be with all those guys. So his is a matter of, dude, you gotta sometimes to say, man, I gotta go out there and be busy and just keep on pouring it on.
Yeah, you gotta want it. Like there's moments in there where you gotta just be honest with yourself as a fighter.
Yeah.
Like I'm losing this fight. I got nothing else to do but fucking go out and just let it all hang out. The L is gonna be an L whether I get knocked out or I get submitted or if I go to a decision.
Well, yeah, and it's true. There's a lot of fighters out there that'll sit there and say, hey, I made it the distance. That's what's important to him in the fight. And you go, it makes no difference. You lost the fight and you lost it clearly. You would have been better off opening up and trying to take a chance instead of being the defensive fighter that's, getting just, pieced up in here. Yeah, you went the distance, but it's a loss.
Yeah, devil's advocate to that could be like a very vicious knockout could shorten your career. So I can see why fighters decide not to really go for it. But I think when you come to the moment that you're at right now with Erceg, like you're in the top 7. Like there's never going to be an easy fight now. Once you got up to the title shot and there's not going to ever be an easy fight again. So it is what it is. Take it or leave it. Like you've got to let it all hang out. And the UFC pays close attention to that. And so he didn't do that tonight. He just I felt like he was fighting on cruise control. He had great moments, but even when he did land some good hard shots, there was no killer instinct to try to like follow up. It was like, oh, I landed. No. And sadly, John, I can admit that I've caught myself in moments like that too in a fight.
I think everyone has that has ever fought. Sometimes you sit there and you admire your work and you go, can't do that.
You got to put the pressure. That was one thing that I thought Frank Shamrock was very good at. Is that when he had you on your back leg, he knew how to fucking put pressure and break you.
That was I would tell you Nick Diaz was the guy. Man, he never sat there and admired anything. He just kept putting shots on you, and it was like everyone's there going, "He doesn't hit very hard." Oh no,
he does.
No. Yeah, he does when he wants. Most of the time, he's just opening up and touching you, and creating this problem for you. And then all of a sudden, you watch him; he'll sit down on it, and he puts power to it, especially to the body. He loved putting power to the body, and you look and you go, "That's what I'm talking about." He never sat there and just admired his work.
Yeah, the Nate fight, obviously very similar in stand-ups, but the Nate fight, I was like, man, he's so slow. He doesn't hit that hard. But then all of a sudden, I caught the end of one of his jabs. And it's just when you catch it at the end, it was like all of a sudden my jaw got snapped back into my face.
Snap.
Like that. And it just kind of set me back and I like whiplashed to my neck. And I was like, okay, you have power. It's just that you've got to catch him at the end. If you catch him when their arm is bent, it takes away the power. But he snapped me one time. Really good. I was like, "Ooh, that fucking hurt." So, but then I mean, look with Nick. I mean, I know, that he's got some power, man. Just the guys that he's fought, you cannot not have power and done what he's done. Robbie Lawler, Paul Daly, those guys. He can take a shot, but man, he can bring it to you. So all right,
fun to watch.
Go ahead, Manel Torres versus Drew Dober.
Man, I'll tell you what. This was one of those fights you're looking at, and we knew that Torres was good, and he had that fight with Bahamondes that was the one that he's coming off of a loss with it and stuff. But man, he throws everything into his punches. He does not hold back. He wants them to be hard and heavy, and they are. And Drew, he looked good starting off. He's on his toes. He's moving well, but he got snapped 3 times. 3 times that you looked and you went, he's now knows this guy's got power. And then he got hit with the 1-2. And, when it set him back, because of the way he fell, I was like, all right, his brain's still there, because he did, bring his hands back to try to control his fall. But as soon as he grabbed the leg and he's getting hit and he's not moving, I'm going, no, his brain's really not there. No. And it was actually the stoppage was a little slow.
It was,
when you look at it, but it was good, but it was a little slow. And it was because of the uniqueness of what you watched off of the way he went down, and then the way he just stayed in one spot, eating 15 shots that were hard. And again, people think they have, a hammer fist. Hammer fist have power.
Yes, they do.
I just don't know how to tell you, man. Just don't let someone get a free shot on the side of your noggin with a good hammer fist, because we've done studies on all that stuff, and you'll get people able to throw a hammer fist every bit as hard as someone throwing, a straight shot. So
yeah, if you guys go back to the Pride days, hammer fists were huge over there, because here's the thing: there's no padding on the side of your glove, so you're literally hitting with the wrist bone as well as the side of your finger bones are on the whatever, the pinky bone or whatever, but you're still able to land. There's really no padding, and that shit hurts. Yeah. I mean, even if you're just in the, like, if I put my elbow on your chest and just hammer fist you like that in the face, it's annoying as hell, but it does give you little flashes. Now imagine if I'm standing over you and I'm swinging like a full-on hammer fist, and it gets through your guard. It's vicious, man. It really is. I know for a while, like guys like DC when he fought Bigfoot Silva, he broke his hand doing that. It was like one of the last punches he landed on him to finish the fight. He broke his hand. Cain Velasquez broke his hand on Bigfoot as well. They were buddies that they broke their hands.
Well, come on. That's a hell of a head to hit.
It is.
It'll break a lot of hands.
It is. For so big, he had fast hands.
Every time I go back to Mike Kyle, he broke both hands on it.
That was with him. Was that with him or Fei Zhao?
Oh, no. That was Mike Kyle and Bigfoot.
Was it really?
Oh, yeah. Because I ref that fight, and and he hits him and puts him down with a huge shot, right? And goes after him to finish him. And, I don't stop it because Bigfoot's trying. He's moving. And he gets to the point where finally, he's now in Bigfoot's guard. He starts using his head, and he's trying. I said, hey, Mike, knock that off. You can't use your head. He goes, John, what do you want me to do? Both of my hands are broken, and I can't throw elbows because it was Strike Force.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, you're fucked. It's like, I felt bad for him.
Done.
Yep.
Torres looked good, man. He's got big power. Leaves himself out of position a little bit when he throws, because he throws everything into it. Drew Dober he's an exciting fighter to watch. I love watching him fight, but he's coming off with some big losses and some big knockouts. So he's gonna have to be careful. And I thought it was a late stoppage, and hurts me to say that because Mike Beltran, I like him a lot. But
Mike's a great guy.
Yeah, because look, John,
he actually started to go in. If you remember watching it, he actually stepped in, and then was like, I got to give him more of a shot. And it's like, no, you probably should have stopped it right there. You had the right read, but I understand why you didn't. And
because you feel like it's like, it's not really bothering me. Those are positions that fighters will sit and be like, it's not bothering me. It's not bothering me. You just don't know. You don't want to jump in and him jump up, go, what the hell are you doing?
Yep.
And you can't see his facial expressions, that's a shitty position for a referee to be in, because he's looking at the ground, so he's not getting hit in the face. He's getting hit more on the side of the ear and those type of things. So in this situation also too, there was a couple times where Drew got hit and it looked like he was moving, but it seemed like it was maybe the punch that was making him like his body bounce a little bit. So it's a hard read to get, like you were saying. But I thought it was a little bit of a late stoppage. Edgar Chairez versus CJ Vergara.
Let's be honest, man. This was over fast. Yeah, it was. And it was Edgar looked great. CJ went out there. CJ is a good. He's a tough fighter. He's just like he's undersized for fighting Edgar. Edgar's way longer, way bigger, and he would have had to have been way faster than Edgar, and I don't think he is.
Yeah.
And that was a tough fight going in for him. And this is one of those ones where I always look at the matchmakers and I go, I see what you're doing.
Yeah.
I see what you're doing. And it's okay. It's got to be done at times, but very nice performance by, Chairez. that's what you're expecting him to go do. You're giving him that opportunity, and he went and delivered.
Raul Rosas Jr. versus Vince Morales.
You know what? It was even closer. We talked about this when I said I thought it would be a good fight, and I thought, I said Vince Morales he's a talented guy. He just seems to find a way to lose decisions, and he found a way to lose decisions. He came close. A couple of those chokes were getting deep, and Rosas did a very nice job of remaining composed in it. I thought overall, he won the fight, but man, there was some moments he could have lost it all in there because Vince Morales really, had some of those moments that you're looking for that's going to just flip everything around on you. And in the third round, he really went after it, and he won that round because of it. But Rosas had won the first 2 rounds.
Yeah, I want to remind people that Roy McDonald was what, 20 years old when he came into the UFC?
Oh yeah, 19.
Yeah, 19 or 20, right? His first fight was who? Carlos Condit.
Carlos Condit.
Talk about fucking.
And he almost walked away with the win.
I thought he was going to win that fight.
Yeah.
Had he finished the fight, he would have won.
Yeah.
Because he won the first 2 rounds. I thought he lost. The third. Obviously, he got finished. Was it finished?
Yeah, finished. Finished with 11 seconds left, I think. Yeah.
Fucking ref screwed him.
God. It's always the ref, man. They always do that to him.
Fucking guys, man.
But I mean, you take a look at that.
It's time more often.
And people don't realize, Carlos Condit back then. Carlos had gone through. Carlos was in tournaments in Hawaii, if you remember, where he was fighting Frank Trigg. Anderson Silva was in those. There was some studs in there.
Yeah.
And then he went and he decimated people in the WEC.
Yeah.
That's when I first started really, reffing his fights and going, this guy's a whole lot better than people realize. Man, he's good.
Raul Rojas Jr. I thought, for me, John, like his stock goes up a little bit, but then tonight I feel like his stock kind of plateaued. Like there's a lot of sense of urgency. I'm not urgency with him.
Shouldn't be.
There's a lot of I misspoke. There's a lot of hype around him, which there should be. I think he's very talented. But if I wanted to compare what the levels were between Roy McDonald and Rojas Jr.'s, there's this night and day. Roy McDonald was already a top 5 guy when he came into the UFC, and he proved that against Carlos Condit. Like Rojas Jr., he's got some work to do. He's got quite a bit of work to do.
Yeah, but I think I'm being when I look at it and I'm honest about it. Different matchmaker at the time for the UFC.
Yeah,
but Raul is 20 years of age, and he's got time before he turns 21. And you look and you go, the kid was hyped so much because coming out of the Dana White Contender Series and the whole Mexican heritage thing, and he's submitting everybody in training and stuff, and what training means, comparatively to what the fight is, but these are all things that they're using to market him and to try to build him up a little bit. And I think that they're actually doing the right thing with him now, is they're not giving him those Carlos Condit type fights right now.
I hope they don't. Not for a while.
Exactly. Well, he's 5-1, in the UFC when you take a look at the fights that he's had, and it's like, okay, he's 11-1 overall. The one fight he lost to was against Christian Rodríguez, who fought tonight also. And Christian is that kind of fighter that you go, yep, that's the kind of guy I would expect when you run into him. He's super sound, very technically good, and if you go out there thinking you're going to run through him, you're probably going to have a hard night with him. And that's what happened. And he lost the decision. But, if they continue to do this with Raul, as far as give him these people to build up his, not only his confidence, but his abilities to change what's occurring in the fight, have some problems and figure out the problems and then adjust to them and then move on and get the win. That's what you need. Everyone wants him to fight for the championship, be like the youngest champion. It ain't going to happen.
No.
If you're going to be a young champion, I'm going to tell you it's going to be in a heavier weight class. Because the guys in the lighter weight classes, they're just too goddamn good. And the bantamweights and the featherweights and the lightweights, look out.
They're good everywhere. It's hard to exploit a weakness in all of them because they can all wrestle, they can all strike, and they've all got good grappling.
Yeah.
Majority of them, anyways. Yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to seeing his growth. I hope they continue to slow play him because he needs to be slow played, especially at that weight class. The bantamweight class is right now the best weight class in the sport, and so they're stacked.
Talent-wise, it's probably more stacked than anything.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And so when you look at even like the PFL's guys, I mean, those guys could come over to the UFC and make a splash right away in the bantamweight division. I mean, they were tonight giving Patchy Mix a ton of credit.
Yeah, they were.
And that's very shocking, to be honest, because I've been
Someone's talking about him.
Yes, somebody is talking about him, and so we know being on the Bellator side, I remember being on the Strikeforce side, we just try not to bring up other organizations like Talent.
Yeah,
especially if you're on the mic, you're trying not to do that.
I always looked at it like if you're going to be honest about something, give the person credit. I don't care who they fight for.
Absolutely.
But
yeah, that's the way it should be. You should recognize talent when you see it and just let everyone know how damn good they are, because you want those young guys to make money too. I don't care what organization they're in. I want them to make money. I want them to have success no matter what. Look, it's one of the things that I loved about Scott Coker when he had Strikeforce. Bellator was a different play. Showtime.
He didn't own it.
He didn't own it, but they wanted to make it always about UFC and Bellator.
Oh, I know.
And Coker, when he had Strikeforce, he didn't want that. He just was like, look, they're going to have fights. We're going to have fights. And
you don't have to be in competition with them.
They
have their shows. You have your shows. If you put on great fights, people should want to watch it.
I agree 100%. You've got David Martinez versus Simon Oliveira.
Oh, what did you think of this? I mean, it was David Martinez throws hard.
Yeah.
He has some power. He's got some snap. And this was one of those ones that just watched him and was like, well, yeah, you were brought in to do this. They gave you the opportunity to be at home and do it. He's 25, 26 years of age, so he's super young.
The Chairez Vergara fight. They know who they're trying to build, and this is one of those opportunities.
Exactly.
We talk about these guys and having the opportunities. Like, this is when they're basically saying, like, hey, I'm going to give you somebody. You need to make it a highlight reel, or you need to do something that I can build you off of.
Exactly. I need this highlight reel.
If you drag this out, to make it a decision just because you're winning and you're showing off and doing whatever, like, get this fighter out of here and do it in a highlight reel fashion so we have something to market you off of. And that's kind of what we saw tonight. Kevin Borjas versus Ronaldo Rodríguez.
I'll tell you what, Borjas looked good. He threw hard. Yes. And he looked good throughout, because as you're watching this, with Rodríguez throws, he's going after him and he's trying, but he was overextending on a lot, which let Borjas have that opening to counter and hit him with a shot, move out, but I enjoyed watching Rodríguez fight because he was trying to bring the fight. And the whole time, when he got hit with shots, he went down the one time kind of going backwards and stuff, popped right to his feet. But, he did not like to take steps backwards. He kept coming forward. And I enjoy that kind of fight. I give him credit. I thought he put on an entertaining fight. I just thought he was beat by someone that right now has cleaner technique, throw straighter shots. They get there faster based upon that. And you're going to have to just tighten it up just a little bit. But he's someone I think you're going to see in the flyweights. He could do well.
Yeah, I thought with Borjas, like, you said all the right things, but I thought, to me, honestly, he was more dialed in on getting the win, whereas Rodríguez was more focused on being exciting for the fans. That's when it can work against you. And and just giving two of the fights that I remember in my career, just trying to show off, backfiring. You know what I mean? Like, and it never worked out. And it just is one of those things where you've got to stay dialed in. My best performance is when I was the most dialed in. Didn't let anything outside distract me, focused on the guy that was in front of me, had my best performances. Doesn't mean that I always won, but it just simply was like, hey, and it's true. I felt like one of my best performances was the third Gilbert fight.
Great.
I was extremely focused. I got injured the week before sparring with Gray Maynard, and it just was one of those. I had to be focused if I was going to have success in that fight. I thought it was a good performance, just wasn't enough to get it done. In this situation,
it was.
Borjas looked dialed in. He looked every time Rodríguez did something, like, with the hands or, whatever it was, kind of showing off or spinning kicks. He stayed focused on his opponent, keeping him right in front of him. I thought it was a great performance by Borjas. And straight punches was the key. When you have longer limbs, it seemed like he had the longer limbs. He was able to get to the target a lot faster as long as he threw him straight. And I think he knew that. And so the fastest point from point A to point B is a straight line.
Straight line.
And he threw it straight and it was on the button. It was beautifully done. I thought it was a damn good performance, but I also thought this was fight of the night.
Yeah.
It was a damn good fight.
I think you're right. I thought this one was really good. I thought Lupita Godinez and Polastri, that was a pretty good fight.
I didn't get to see that fight up.
Oh, that was pretty good.
Really good. I'll go back.
Especially the last round was really good. But yeah, this was a really good fight. So
next fight, Jose Medina versus, how do you say this guy's name? Gautier?
Atiba Gautier.
Uh-huh.
And this guy's a stud.
Yeah.
This guy is, first off, he's built like a brick shit house.
He reminds me of a smaller Francis Ngannou.
Yes. That's
Right?
a very good look right there.
His back muscles had back muscles.
Yes.
I was like, what the hell?
He had a 12-pack.
Yeah. I'm down.
He's got power. He's fast. The real question is going to be, how's his, cardio? Can he carry that on? The guy he was fighting in Jose Medina is, tough, took some good shots, but just didn't have the speed or the skill to be able to take someone like Gautier out. And it was a beautiful knee that he timed. And it's fun to watch someone when they believe in themselves. And then, and he's saying, he goes, I'm good. We're going to find out because, right now, again, they gave him a fight that he should win. And he did. And he did it in a, really nice fashion. It was something they can use to build him. But let's see what you do when that level of skill across from you is also up high.
Yeah, but they're really focusing on trying to build the younger talent right now because they're lacking that right now. Like, look in the 185-pound division, there's only maybe like 4 or 5 guys that are probably under 30 years old, if that. They're 31, 30 and under. So they need to build guys. And Gautier is probably someone they can look to focus on. Got the highlight reel. That's exactly what you want to see. And then you can move on to trying to build them up slowly. But the middleweight division needs him. They need younger, talented fighters that have a look and they can be marketable. Costa versus Rodríguez.
And this was a good fight. It was back and forth. I thought, Costa won the first 2 rounds, and then Christian came on and was really, trying to finish him. Had a good 3rd round, but wasn't enough to win the fight. And this is where one of those ones you're going, man, you have to realize he landed the better shots throughout those first couple rounds. He's probably ahead of you. I'm not too sure that Duke gave him that information, but a close fight. And it was one that, either guy could have ended up winning. Then I thought they gave it to the right guy in Costa.
Yeah, I thought so too. I agree with you. Good fight though, overall. Go ahead and talk to me through Polastri and Godinez.
You know what? This was one that, Lupita came out. She looked really good in the first round. She wins the first round. Second round comes out, same thing. And because of it, it was almost like, Polastri just decided in the 3rd round, that's it. I'm walking forward. I'm going to put my hands down. I'm just going to walk towards you and sling. And she did. And she made it really exciting because she hit her with some good shots. Lupi had her good shots. She took, went for the takedowns and stuff. Just entertaining as far as I really liked the attitude that you saw out of Polastri in that 3rd round of going, okay, I've lost the first 2. I've got to do something. And she went after it. And that's what you're looking for. Even if, this is one of the things that I used to love about Pride is they would tell the fighters, look, as long as you're exciting, we'll bring you back. We don't care if you win or lose. And I look at this one and I don't think the UFC looks at it in any way as like, yeah, she lost, but man, we really like the way that she went after it.
Well, you got to be. Round. That's the way you got to be. You have to have that fighter mentality. It's sad that we've the fighters these days have looked at this more like a business versus doing it as passion. Like I feel like a lot of my generation and the generations before us did it for, because we sure the fuck weren't doing it for money. I can tell you that.
No, it was a little bit different back then.
But we really did enjoy fighting, the experience of traveling, the experience of training camps, being in the gym with our guys every day and coaches and just
learning.
and learning. The bond that we had for all of us, I mean, it was amazing. So, yeah. Garcia versus Pichel.
Well, this is, you had the youngest guy in the UFC in Rosas, and you had the oldest guy in the UFC in Vince Pichel this year. It's funny because when you were over at my place, I got the picture of Vince Pichel that was sitting on my desk, and I have the good story of, it says on it, and you sign it, and he goes, from the maybe pile, because the guy had never fought, and I just liked his heart, and he's 42 years of age now, and when you're fighting at 42 in the lightweight division in the UFC, you're doing something.
You're doing good.
You're doing something, because, man, that's not easy. And he's tough as nails. He will absolutely bite down and fight. And, that was one of the reasons that I kept him, and I like him so much. He's a good guy. But I thought that, I know he thought he won the fight, but I thought Rafa Garcia won the fight.
Okay.
Yeah. I know, but you could tell by his reaction, it looked like, he thought he won the fight. And it's like, nope, let it get away.
Exactly. That's exactly what I thought.
Yeah. There was, he won the second round.
Mm-hmm.
And then you let the third round get away because you let him push you back. It made it look like he was the aggressor. Yep. And then you weren't landing the shots that were forcing him back like you needed to.
Yeah. No, I agree. I agree with you 100%. It was 1-1 going in, I think, into the third, and then he just let it slip away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But there was, I think, 2 scores that were 30-27. And I was like, no.
No, I didn't see that.
Pichel won the second round.
Emmers versus Miranda.
Boy, you talk about a tale of 2 minutes, basically. It's really it was like it went farther than that. But the first bit, Gabriel Miranda comes out there, he gets his opponent down. He goes to lock in, and he's off to the side. It's going to be very difficult for the submission to work. But he holds him for a while, and then as soon as Emmers got up, it was a different story. And he hit him with a couple of shots, and you could see that Miranda just went like, "Oh shit."
Yeah.
That's wilting me. And it didn't take long, and it was a very nice, quick finish for Mr. Emmers. He looked really good.
Yeah, I agree. John, you want to talk about the last fight?
No.
Okay. All right, guys. Well, hey, I want to thank you guys so much for subscribing to our channel here, and make sure you guys join our membership count. We'll be doing giveaways now. I'm going to try and do them more often, especially for the members that we have. So I'm going to actually go through our membership count this week. And I'm going to pick out 5 people and just send you guys over some element, obviously, a box of element, and maybe even like a couple of little things. So surprise packages coming your guys' way. I've reached out to a couple people already that have been our first couple members, and I've already got their addresses. So I'll be sending them off some stuff this week. I want to thank you guys so much for continuing to support us. Follow us over to OnlyFans. If you guys don't know, we do extra live shows over there. We also do our live show is spread across all platforms now. So if you, for some reason, can't get your YouTube to work or whatever it is, we're available on Rumble. We're available on Twitter. We're available on Instagram. We're going to do our show is live now across Tuesday nights, across almost all platforms, Kick and Twitch also. We're available on there. So make sure you subscribe to us on all of our platforms. Also, if you guys don't follow us on Instagram or on Twitter, follow us. John, what's your handle? John McCarthy MMA?
Yep. John McCarthy
MMA on
MMA.
Twitter.
Yep.
On Twitter and Instagram.
And Instagram.
Yep. I'm at The Real Punk on Twitter and X and Instagram. So make sure you guys subscribe to us and follow us over there. Also follow our Weighing-In channel. So we have a Weighing-In for both Twitter and Instagram. So make sure you subscribe to us and follow us over there. I want to thank you guys, man. You guys have been awesome taking care of us. And if you guys want to support us, support our sponsors. Element. Love the hydration drink. Right now, I'm drinking the black cherry lime. That's, I think, John, is that your favorite? Or your grapefruit's the favorite?
Yep. No, I like grapefruit and black cherry lime. Those are my 2 favorites.
So use the link down below in the descriptions. They'll send you over a free box of product with every purchase. Make sure you guys use that link down below. And John, I was just out there at the farm, and I did a video for us that we put up on our social media. It was a fun time, man. He goes, you guys go to our Instagram or our X and check it out. It was fun, man. You guys want to see what John's farm looks like? Check it out. It's awesome, man. We had the pills. We had the pigs, and then we also got a chance to meet Josh the Pork Thompson.
Josh the Pork, and he
even sexier.
Laying some wood.
Yeah, he's sexier in person, just like me. Just like me.
Big old head, just like you too.
This is very true. I've noticed after I've lost some muscle in my shoulders and my back, my head looks a lot bigger.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, I'm gonna have to get on the sauce, man. John, I've always said for years, man, like a bunch of us fighters, we've always talked about when we're done fighting, we're just gonna get on the sauce.
Got to roid out.
Yeah, I get concerned about like people say like if you have
Please.
any type of cancer stuff.
No, there's no. What's the point?
I don't know. I mean, I'm old, fucking getting back.
I'm not saying anything. I think nothing bad about anybody that does like TRT if that's what they want to do when they get older. And and there's a lot of people I know that do, and people that you know.
What's wrong? Can I ask you what's wrong with it? Because all the doctors are saying now it's good for males to be on TRT to get at least your levels back to like whatever the normal level.
Yeah. Okay. This is my one problem.
Okay.
Is like with anything, doctors make money off of medication.
Absolutely. You don't say, John.
So, when they said, oh, it's good for you. Okay. Yeah, I'm not going to buy everything that you're saying, but it's a matter. I understand that, it will make you feel better. It'll give you more energy, which is all good. That's part of living quality of life. But I do know of people, it's like, you can go back and watch anything. And it's like, there's reasons why your body starts to lose certain things, and it is age. And you try to put it back on and you try to, okay, I'm going to raise my levels and stuff so I can be that younger guy, kind of younger. And it's like, what else is it affecting?
Yeah.
Because there are people who will tell you, oh, it will affect things. And it will, if you have certain things, all these people that get, human growth hormone. I remember back when I was long time ago, there was, and this is when steroids were legal. And
I never knew they were legal.
Yeah. And there was at the time it was called, human growth hormone. You could only get from humans out of the pituitary gland, which is this little pea in the base of your, brain. And so, it was super expensive, and they tried to, keep it not for bodybuilders and weightlifters and stuff. They tried to keep it for kids that had dwarfisms and, were going to be smaller so they could actually try to, get their growth to be stimulated and stuff. So, you had bodybuilders and powerlifters and Olympic weightlifters using what they called monkey roids.
Was that what Lyle Alzado was using?
No, Lyle Alzado was using human growth hormone, but by then there was a synthetic that he was using. But this is, and this is where I'm going with, Lyle Alzado. Human growth hormone, there is no doubt that Lyle Alzado was on steroids for 20 some years straight. Okay. Now your body, when you're young and it's producing testosterone, all it can do is when it says that this is too much, it can only do one thing, and that's shut yours down. So you just keep on throwing, like he was throwing more into it. In the end, he basically blamed his steroid use on his brain cancer because he got brain cancer. And it wasn't his steroid use. It was his human growth hormone. That is what triggered, because we all have cancer cells in us and stuff. And the human growth hormone is what he took to try to get back into the NFL. I knew the guy that he was training with. There was a guy named, Dr. Fred Hatfield. He was a power lifter back, that would compete at the 220-pound class when I was doing stuff, and he was big into roids and doing stuff. And it was like, was it worth it? Was it worth it?
Speaking of steroids, who I was on my flight last night coming back from Vegas at 1 a.m.?
Who's that?
Nick Canseco.
Yeah, he was a big time steroid user. Yeah.
So yeah, he's still.
Remember him fighting in Pride?
Yeah, I do. I do remember that. Yeah.
He
was supposed to sign with Strikeforce.
Really?
Yeah. Him and Scott Coker they had sat down and had lunch, and they were supposed to meet, and then he wanted to fight Herschel Walker during that time. So
it would have been a bad idea.
Yeah, but still, I think it would have been fun. Herschel was 48 years old at the time, and Jose wasn't that old.
Yeah, but one of them had taken care of himself the entire time.
Yeah, but I mean, simply put, I would have been a fun fight. I would have loved to have seen that fight. But yeah, he was on our flight last night.
I'll never forget the first time I watched Herschel, and I love Herschel. He's a great guy. But he went out there and he did this like little, his feet were real close and he did these little stutter steps. And I went, oh God. Then he did good.
No, he's He's an athlete, man.
Oh,
That guy. I know he was an athlete when he was younger, but fucking, remember he was fighting. He was 48 years old, 2 years older than I am, or whatever it is. Like fuck. I mean, he was still out there running with us at the track, and
Do you remember when they had the NFL's fastest?
Yes,
man?
I do.
Darryl Green was the guy that won it all the time until he ran against Herschel Walker. Herschel just blew him out.
Darryl beat him. I just watched it the other day.
No, they both went back and forth. But
because the one I saw, Darryl Green had beat him.
Yeah, on one of them, it was definitely Herschel's.
That's crazy,
time.
Right, John?
Dude, they were so fast.
I got some good news, ladies and gentlemen.
Our podcast, Weighing In, was the first podcast to ever partner with OnlyFans.
Bringing you guys the best content we possibly can in the combat sports industry. We are making some leeway on bringing sports to the OnlyFans platform,
where top-tier, world-class athletes can connect with their fans. We're talking about combat sports athletes like Demetrius Mighty Mouse Johnson, Chris Cyborg,
Luke Rockhold,
AJ McKee.
You've also got pro surfers like Billy Kemper. Some chilling news.
I want you to head on over to the Weighing In OnlyFans channel.
More connection with our fans on our OnlyFans channel.
Only available on OnlyFans.
All right, before we move on, make sure you guys subscribe us over at OnlyFans. I want to thank you guys so much for supporting us. George, you got any news for us, buddy?
Yeah, I got a few things if you want.
Yeah, let's do one or two.
Okay, let's do a couple. So recently, Conor McGregor was talking, and he said in reference to
really him talking. No,
who could believe it? But he said in reference to his visit to the White House, he said, "I've got 2 fights on the contract. I'm happy with what I've done. There's something else for me right now." Talking about his political aspirations. Is this the nail in the coffin for Mr. McGregor? Is he donezo?
Well, we've kind of thought for a while that, you know what, there's so many things going against him fighting again. And, you know, this has to do with everything in his life, all the businesses that he's part of. You know, now he's even part of, you know, bare knuckle fighting. And that's something he's spending time going to all the time. He's now managing some, you know, female singing group. You know, he's got the Forged Stout, you know, and things. You can never give all the attention you need to fighting when you're doing all those other things. You can't. And you're never going to, you know, you got to figure how long has it been since he's fought? You know, he hasn't gotten better sitting back. He's only declined. And, you know, he can still go in the gym and he can still look good going in the gym and sparring with certain people and things like that. That doesn't mean he's going to be looking good against the people that are the top people in the world. And I just, you know, I for a while, you know, we've talked about it. I said, I'm not too sure he's going to fight again, you know, and it's family, kids, all the stuff that, you know, he's got on the outside, you know, court wise, you know, he's got people trying to get money from him and stuff and everything. And, you know, part of that is his fault. He, you know, creates the opening for him, you know, and you got to know people are going to be dirty. People are going to try to get something. And if you give them the opening, congratulations, you let them in, you know? And so I just look at it and it's like, you know, what's the best thing? Truthfully, best thing is for him. Try your political aspirations if that's what you want to do. You know, it's way better than getting punched in the face at this point of your life. You've already, you know, you have your legacy is out there. Why come back and taint it with, you know, a product or a performance that is below what, you know, people are expecting of you?
Yeah, I think both of them are done. I don't think you should be politically in this field either. I think you think fucking fighting's rough. Get into politics.
No, it's dirty.
It's just disgusting. It's fucking filthy. We're seeing it now here in this country. Like, who would have thought that anyone be opposed to getting rid of waste and fraud? Who would have thought? You know, it's just driving.
It's the greatest thing ever.
It's driving me crazy, John.
How many times? No, this is what I love. Is how many times have we heard, "Hey, don't shoot the messenger, dude." You know, the messenger's there telling you, "Hey, this is a problem." Well, we got a messenger, and all they're doing, they're not taking our money. They're kind of trying to throw it back, saying, "Hey, spend it in a better way," or, you know, I've heard they want to write checks or whatever you're going to do. But they're not taking our money, but people are complaining.
That's where I'm baffled by. I'm like, look, I don't care how you feel about Elon. I don't give a shit how you feel about Trump. Look, bottom line is the 3 or 4 of the last presidents have all talked about getting rid of waste and fraud. And guess what? None of them
trying to do it.
Now you have someone who's basically doing the hard thing, which is cutting programs that just worth just throwing money at. So that being said, it's a very disgusting business. The political atmosphere across the world, not just here in our country, is a disgusting business.
I watched there was a reporter in Ireland, and you know, since you've been to Ireland many times, Connor's both loved and hated there.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people that don't like Connor in Ireland. And there was a reporter that was going around saying, you know, asking people, you know, "Hey, would you vote for Conor McGregor? Would you vote?" And honestly, it was about a 50-50 that, you know, people, you know, the people that are fed up with the migration and what is happening with Ireland as far as the things that Connor's basically been talking about, they're all, yeah. And because, you know what, he understands what's happening to our country. And there's the ones going, hell no, never, you know. And so he'd be like anybody, you know, you're never going to have everybody liking you. But, you know, do I think he'd be a good president? That I'm not too sure about.
I don't know either. Yeah.
I do know that he'd be able to beat the shit out of every president there is, though.
I just, look, if you decide to go into politics, go into politics. But my personal opinion is, I think you need to step away from the spotlight, period, and focus on your wife and your kids. That's my personal opinion. Spend more time showering your kids with your attention.
Yep.
Just being present. I mean, I literally moved out of California, not for any other reason than to spend more time with my kids. That was it. Like, I know how much time I have. I have a lot of free time on my hands living here in Texas. You know, it would be nice to I like to keep the rat race going. I need to be active at all times, you know, but the bottom line is that you only get this 10, 15 years before your kids are stepping out and getting ready for college and focusing on other things besides, you know, hanging out with you. And so I'm going to spend this amount of time with my kids as much as possible. You know, flying back on red eyes is the least of my concern, you know, to make sure I can make a 9 a.m. game an hour away. Those are the important things right now in life. And I think for him, you're worth over $400 million. Take your time, because it goes by fast, and spend that time with your kids and your wife. Make a strong relationship, and all the good stuff will start to happen. Once you're out of the spotlight for a little bit and you make an entrance back in, you're a little bit older, a little bit wiser, and people see that you're doing good amongst your community and your family.
What's good about the spotlight?
I mean, there's money to be made there.
Money to be made.
Yeah.
So that's what's good about the spotlight.
I mean, look,
I will tell everyone.
It really depends on where you want to put yourself in that spotlight. If you want to be involved with more charitable organizations, if you want to be involved in helping to do things for the public in your community and your country, there's a lot of good to be done there. He's just chosen not to be in that part yet. And so he's going to need to step away, I think, for a bit, not reinvent himself, but show everyone that he's ready to be presidential if that's what he wants to do later on. Doing it right now is a waste of time. But sadly, his country seems like it's going through a lot of shit. And something needs to be done now. Just like us here, we needed to get rid of the debt. Do you think it's easy to make cuts? It doesn't matter what company you are. It could be a company. It could be a government. It's never easy to make those cuts. You've got to make sacrifices. Bottom line is, they seem like over in Ireland, they need to do something about their immigration laws. We had to do something here about it. And that's what they have done. It's not an easy choice. Do you think we would love to welcome everyone in and make sure everyone has the opportunities we have? We just cannot do it when you're $36 trillion in debt. There's no other way around it. And that's just the fact of it. Don't say this. Don't talk about Trump. Don't talk about Elon. Don't talk about Kamala and Biden. Who gives a fuck? The bottom line is the hardest things need to be cut. And how can you do it? Otherwise, there will be no future. It doesn't matter what your fucking kid does. Okay? Because there'll be no future. We will have no money. You'll be borrowing money from other countries like we already are now, and then they're going to own more land and more property in our country, and it won't be your country anymore. And I know it sounds stupid because, we're a big superpower. That shit happens fast. It happened to Rome and happened to all the other fucking places. What makes you think it won't happen to us?
Absolutely.
Get the fuck out of here with that nonsense.
Get the fuck out.
Make the hard cuts now and deal with the consequences, and it sucks. It really does suck that we put ourselves in this position. And it's not us. It's our fucking politicians that put us there. I know I don't like to get political, but this is one of the things that, it's just a big, deep breath to think, look, I want everyone to understand it wasn't one party that put us here. It was fucking both. They're scumbags and they fucking burned us as Americans. So the fact that we're having to do this is ridiculous anyways. All right, George, let's talk about something else.
All right.
George, boy, just so you know, George, he just told you that was a shitty topic.
Yeah, you chose the wrong topic.
No, I just
love you, though.
I wanted something to rile you up. That's all
you did.
I'm thinking of clips,
There's so much more I have to say, but I'm just like, let it be, man. Let's go.
All right. So recently, ESPN MMA put out a list of their top 10 most, I guess.
You're just here to start shit tonight, aren't you? Fuck
yeah. Most revolutionary MMA women's in the 21st century. They left out Gina Carano. Do you think she deserved to be on the list? She does, and even Dana White said so. What do you think?
You said the ESPN
influential woman in MMA
in the
top
21st
10
century.
Yeah, in the top 10, and she wasn't on the list.
Absolutely, Gina Carano deserves to.
That's like not having Hoist Gracie on the fucking
exactly
on the Mount Rushmore.
Look, Gina Carano came at a time when I can name you some of the best women fighters at the time that she came in, and Jennifer Howe. I don't know if you remember her.
Oh yeah, Julie Kedzie.
Julie Kedzie was another one, but Jennifer Howe was beating everyone. That was Jeremy Horn's girlfriend. Mm-hmm. Almost wife for a long time. But there was
Marlos Conan.
Well, Marlos Conan. There was a female fighter named Becky Levi.
I remember her.
Huge, and Marlos Conan in a absolute fight, weighing 140 pounds, we'll say at the time, was fighting Becky Levi, who was 200 and some, and she wasn't fat, and armbarred Becky and that was in Japan. But all of those, it was Gina Carano that all of a sudden caught the attention. And I'm going to give you a story, because when I was trying to get the UFC regulated in these different states, Nevada was one that was a big one. And, the first time I ever met Glenn Corano, which is Gina's dad.
Played for the Cowboys, correct?
He was a quarterback for the Dallas Cowboys. Played behind Danny White, I believe, at the time. But, his family has got casinos and stuff in Nevada, but up in the Reno area. And, he's a super nice guy, super good looking, and I met with him and Lorenzo Fertitta at the time. Had dinner. It was him. They also had Skip Homansky, who was the medical director.
Yeah.
For Nevada, and one of the things that Lorenzo had his comments about the sport and everything, things he didn't like, and Glenn basically said, "I don't like it," and he goes, "They're trying to hurt each other," and so so I used the whole thing. I said, I understand why you're saying that. And I said, but let me ask you a question. I go, when you were playing quarterback for the Cowboys, I said, and Lawrence Taylor was coming around the weak side tackle and had your back, do you think he was just trying to tackle you, or was he trying to put you out of the game? And he goes, oh, it's different. And I go, no, it's not. It's exactly the same, right? But, and this is before Gina is actually competing in MMA, mm-hmm. right? And so then, they go off. It doesn't really happen. And then Lorenzo ends up buying the UFC, and then Lorenzo sends me once again to Reno, Nevada, to talk to Glenn Corano about MMA, and because he sits on the Nevada State Athletic Commission board, and we need his vote. So sit there. I go to lunch with him, go up there, we talk a bunch. He said, he tells me, he says, John, I am never going to like this sport. He goes, I'll vote for it because of Lorenzo. I believe in him. I believe in you, right? All that stuff, right? And I was like, hey, that's great. I appreciate it. Well, then his daughter, all of a sudden becomes, and I don't realize at the time, it's Gina Carano. Okay. I don't I'm not smart enough. I'm not smart enough because she's down in Vegas and he's up in Reno, right? And I'm thinking, yeah, no, okay. You know, and she was going out with Kip, who is it?
Kit Cope.
Damn it. Kit Cope at the time, right? And then, you know, she starts getting bigger. And then all of a sudden, you know, I'm talking with her one day and she says something about her dad, right? And she says, oh, there he is right there. Look, holy shit, Glenn's your dad. I am so stupid, right? And she goes, you didn't know that? I go, no. I said, I know him, you know, but I didn't put 2 and 2 together. I'm not bright enough to do that. But, you know, and, you know, he became a big fan of her in the sport, you know, and always would tell me, he goes, I hate it. He goes, I love when she wins. And so far, all she's done is win, but I hate it because I just someone's going to punch my daughter in the face. I don't like it. Right. And it's like, yeah, but yeah, she definitely deserves to be that person because it was her personality.
Absolutely.
That made people start to gravitate towards women's fighting. It was the way she handled herself. It was the way, you know, let's be honest, the way she looked was one thing because she's a gorgeous, you know, person. And and when I say she's a gorgeous person inside and out. She's a sweetheart of a person. So, you know, she had some really good fights. Her last fight was against Cyborg. That one didn't go her way. That's her only loss. But man, I'll tell you what, she absolutely has to be on the list. Just like you're saying, the Royce Gracie part, it's the same.
Yeah, there would be no women's MMA without her, and nothing. I'm not trying to get anything away from Chris Cyborg, but the marketability was Gina Corano.
Oh yeah,
just seeing what she brought media, she brought everything to the table, not just because of her dad, but because of the way she fought. That was one. She was mainly a stand-up fighter, you know, and she had a kickboxing background. She had the look. She talked well. Like she did this thing, and I know the two of us make fun of each other because when I was still fighting and she had been done fighting for a while, and every once in a while she'd see me on the scale and I'd flex, and I always bit my lip like that as I did it, and she did the same thing
all the time.
And she's like, and so she'd send me a message like I said, she's like, I still love the lip bite, and so it was just like a joke we had an inner joke, but it's just funny because she piggybacked, she carried, I should say, not piggyback, she carried, you know, women's MMA on her back. And she wore it like a badge of honor. I don't think she even like considered it being like, this is going to revolutionize this sport. She was the reason why they were the very first female main event. And that was on Showtime, one of the biggest platforms at the time. I mean, she did everything she could. So to not have her on that list is a slap in the face. But let's be honest, we know why she's not on that list. ESPN, those, you know, and Disney is, and there's some problems there.
That's right.
So they should have, you know, I get it. I understand, but it's still ridiculous. And I love that Dana had spoke up about it. You know, I had also commented on there too. I didn't see the comments. I just actually just posted my comment and bounced. But I just said, like, I think it's ridiculous that Gina's not on here. I think it's, you know, but yeah, I look at her like as the Royce Gracie kind of position, you know, whereas, she should be on that list. They need to make that adjustment. But then if you do put her on the list, who do you kick off?
I don't know who is the people I never saw.
They had Holly Holm at number 10. I remember that. Okay. That was the last. I think that was like the last one. Let me see if I can pull it up.
Who is on the list, George?
Let me also pull it up right now for us.
Mm-hmm. Here it is. Yeah, so they had Holly Holm at number 10. They've got Megagumi Fuji at number 9. They got Misha Tate at 8. Weili Zhang at 7. Rose Namajunas at 6. Joanna Jędrzejczyk at 5. They got Valentina Shevchenko at 4. Ronda Rousey at 3. Chris Cyborg at 2. And Amanda Nunes at 1.
It's a good list. It is.
I mean, yeah, it's a good list. I mean, I wouldn't put Amanda that high. I'd put more Chris ahead of her, and not based off of their performance, and based off of what they've done for women's MMA. I mean, if we're going, I thought that's what this was based on.
They're interchangeable. I mean, look at it all comes down to you lost the one time that you faced her.
No, but John, it's the thing is we're baiting it off the 21st century. These stars changed women's MMA. in the
Well, then
21st century.
Then it's pretty simple that you'd have to go with Chris, because there's only one person that's ever won 5 different belts.
Yeah. I mean, would you?
That's
Okay,
Chris.
but okay, yes. Would you say that? I would put Gina still ahead of Chris because they're look.
She didn't do it long enough.
Okay, but that being said, John Hoist didn't do it very long either.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he went. Hold on.
They only had 2 shows a year back then, so they
Hold on.
was long.
But then look at Hoist was at UFC 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, those are the shows that he was in.
Did he compete in 5? I thought he pulled out of 5.
No, he was in 5 in the super fight against Shamrock. But then he went and he was fighting in Pride and fought in Pride in certain matches. Then he came back at UFC 60 and fought Hoist, and then he went and he fought
Matt Hughes.
Fought Matt Hughes at UFC 60, and then he went and he fought in other fights, in what was it, K1.
He fought in Bellator. He fought,
yeah. So he fought a long time,
I understand
over a long period of time. So,
but during that time, there was a lot of breaks in between from the
Sure.
beginning UFC to the Pride days. But that's not what the question is, John, or not what the statement is. It says these stars change women's MMA. If you're going to say there'd be no women's MMA without Gina Carano, based on the fact that media would have never picked up Chris Cyborg and ran with it.
well, then
That's just a fact.
If you're going to be honest about that, Ronda Rousey's going to have to be your number 1.
No, that's not true.
Bullshit.
No, because they wouldn't have ran with Ronda Rousey.
Absolutely.
They wouldn't have ran with Ronda Rousey.
Who
in those days.
changed? Who changed? No matter what you want to say, as much as Gina was, great and helped bring women's MMA along, one made it explode.
Okay, and that's because they got bought by the UFC at the time, and that's why.
That's not my.
No,
doesn't matter.
No, John.
And it was. Hold it.
Without
Stop. How many times? I'm just asking this question. How many times have you seen a little girl in a Gina Carano Halloween costume, or Amanda Nunes, or a Holly Holm? You haven't.
I've never seen one in a Ronda Rousey one either.
I've seen a bunch in a Ronda Rousey.
That was you.
Okay?
I never seen it.
All right. And that's because that's how big she was at a certain point.
I'm not taking anything away from Ronda. I'm simply saying I'm gonna go with the person who helped create women's MMA. Ronda Rousey was not that she's not. I think she's a pretty girl, but I'm sorry, but there's no way. Gina Carano's dad and Gina Carano, her being the way she was, beautiful, the way she fought and her striking. They were never. Showtime would have never made them the main event. They would have never got the growth that they ever got. There would have never been a women's division in Strikeforce had it not been for Gina Carano. I have to put her number 1, no matter how I shape it.
That's
Now
okay.
I agree. I would only put Chris Cyborg second because she beat Gina in that main event, and she's been doing it like you said, 5 different belts, whatever it was. And I put Ronda. I put Ronda number 3, 1, 2, 3, absolutely. And then I'd probably put somewhere in there. Maybe I put Misha either number 4 or number 5, somewhere in there.
You can't put Misha ahead of Amanda.
Okay, that's fair.
Can't do it.
That's fair. That's fair. I can do that. Yeah, I would probably put Marloes in there somewhere as well.
That's one that's missing off of that list.
Yeah, there's somebody I would definitely put her. Look, Marloes is one of my favorite people in the world.
She's fantastic.
I could not see her for 5-6 years and then run into her one day and be like, she gives the biggest hugs and she's the greatest person. I love her to death. So I've got to put her on that list. I to be honest, Megumi Fuji, I've never really paid attention to see her fight.
Look, I've watched Megumi Fuji in all kinds of different competitions. She was fantastic, but she never ever got that win that you look and you said, "Hey, she's one of the top, fighters." She did go to Bellator for a little bit back in the beginning of Bellator, but she lost right away. In fact, she lost to Gurgel, who used to be Fausto.
Oh yeah. She's a trainer at AK. Yeah. She trained at CSA. She's mainly at CSA, but she trained at AK as well, or grappling stuff. I mean, look, if I was gonna, I'm not trying to knock anyone off the list, but I've got to put Marloes in there. I like where Amanda's at as well. I mean, like not at number 1, but I put Amanda at probably number 3, somewhere in there, 3 or 4, whatever it is. But yeah, but I think the newer generation would have to fall back a little bit. So like Rose and Whaley and Joanna and I
would put Joanna on there.
I put Joanna. She's on there, but I'd put her like probably where she's at number 5, because you still have Gina. I would still have Gina, Chris, Amanda, and then Gina, Chris, Rhonda, Amanda, and then whoever at number 5 would be after that. So I'd probably put Joanna right there at number 5 where she's at right now. Yeah. And then you move Misha back, you move Holly home. I may even move off the list or just put her where Fuji is. But regardless, look, in no way am I saying that all these women are fantastic. They're all fantastic, and they've definitely helped the sport grow 100%. Yeah. But I do think it's disrespectful to not have Gina Corano on there, especially just knowing the history of it and her being part of Strikeforce and really what captivated Showtime. I was in these conversations. Elite XC. But what captivated them with Elite XC and Showtime was that who her dad was, and because she was beautiful and she loved to stand and fight.
Yeah.
I mean, those were the three things. Yeah, those were the 3. She was a very exciting fighter to watch.
Yeah.
So all of those things, were definitely captivating. Anyways, give us one more there, George.
All right, I want to end us off on a bit of a lighter note since I've been poking and prodding at you guys.
Poking the bear. That away. Way to go.
You've been watching too much politics. Fear-mongering, everyone.
Me? Let's see. I lost it for a second. Right here. So, recently, Shara Bullet Magomedov, he said in reference to DDP, I will be very happy when DDP loses his belt. I don't understand how he manages to get this belt. He went on to keep talking shit, basically. So DDP responded, you got one eye on the ceiling and the other eye on the TV.
Okay.
He went on to say, somebody get my guy some eye drops. If we lived in a world where it would be eye for eye, Shara would be king. Between Khamzat and Shara, there are only 3 senses: touch, smell, and sound. What do you think about this?
Oh,
I'm going to say this. DDP lives in a place where there's all kinds of things going on there.
Yeah.
And don't get into a verbal confrontation with him.
His trash talking game is fucking next level.
It's fucking next level. Yeah. Exactly. He is on point. He is brutal. He will freaking pull shit out of the fucking thin air and just absolutely hammer you. He's good at it.
Yeah.
You know, he can cross the line at times.
Think?
But he, I mean, to sit there and say, how did he win the title? Look, he came up the ranks. He fought everybody they put in front of him. He freaking, beat Sean Strickland. He then beat, Israel Adesanya. He then comes back and he beats Sean Strickland again. He's beating everybody they're putting in front of him. He is the real deal. And right now, Shara Bullet, he doesn't want any part of DDP.
No, Shara Bullet's not a big 85-pounder either.
No, he just had a 170-pound fighter in Venom Page come up and put an ass whooping on him.
Yeah. Yeah, Shara's, look, Khamzat's a different story.
Different beast.
Definitely a different beast.
Did you happen to see Khamzat and Yaroslav Amazov wrestling practice at
Tiger Muay Thai.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw it. Yeah, I'm very impressed. I want to see what's going on with Amosov. I'm glad that he got that win over in the other organization.
He's going to be in the UFC.
John, I'm not too sure, man. Everything that I'm hearing, that they're just not. It's so surprising to me that they wouldn't sign him, but I mean, he's so talented. He's what, 28-1. You got 1 loss in your record. So I heard the PFL is having some problems with. They had 4 fighters fall out of their bantamweight tournament. So like Magomedov is off. Somebody else got signed by the UFC or something like that, so he's off.
How the hell did you get signed by the UFC if you were signed to fucking be in their tournament?
I don't know.
What the hell is that?
Yeah, and then Bader got released. He got his full release, and
which is good.
Yeah, it's good. I think so.
Yeah.
I think we'll see him probably explore other options, and see what happens. But I know that I would imagine there's some interest from the UFC to have him, at least for 1 or 2 fights. People, I know the comments are gonna blow up. You guys are crazy. Da da da. heavyweight division right now is weak in the UFC. It's the weakest division in the whole sport. I always said 85, but right now, 205 and heavyweight are fucking taking the cake.
Well, I mean, here's the way to look at it too. You know, Andre Arlovsky. I just saw him, and he was in the Dirty Boxing. He did the Dirty Boxing show.
How did he do?
He won.
Oh, good for him.
Yeah, Andre's just a fantastic person. But he was in the UFC. You got to figure, you know, when he first came in, he was at UFC 28. Was his first UFC. So that was even before you.
Yeah.
Okay. And then, you know, became champion. He was champion back in 2005. And he was fighting all the way up into 2025 in the UFC. You know, and you look and you go, it's absolutely impressive, but it's just the whole point of heavyweights. There's just not a lot of good ones out there. And they can actually go into being older based upon speed is not the same as the lighter weights and everything. Power doesn't go away. So, yeah, I could see it happening. It's a possibility.
Cardio has never been a factor. Like, never been something that heavyweights have been great at. So, and when you have someone that has when you have someone at a heavyweight division that has good wrestling and has good cardio, those guys can last a long time.
Yeah.
You know, they can have a long career. That's not going to happen at 125. 135, 145. Once your speed goes at 36, 37, 38, it's really hard. You see it with Dominic Cruz. Dominic Cruz is always the fastest son of a bitch out there. You know, his footwork, his movement, all those things. As soon as he slowed down just a tiny bit,
people caught him.
You get caught. Dip your head the wrong way and find out. See what happens.
Yep. That's what happened.
Heavyweights.
Dude, his fight against Henry Cejudo, what happened? He got hit with a fucking knee when he was dipping down. His fight against Marlon Vera, he's trying to circle out and get away. And gets hit with the high kick. You know, it's when speed changes, the whole fight changes.
Yep, exactly. All right, guys. Hey, that's going to wrap us up. Make sure you guys join us over at OnlyFans and subscribe to us over there. It is free. Don't miss our Tuesday night lives, 9:30 p.m. Eastern time. It'll be live across almost all platforms. We're still trying to get a couple of them figured out, but the rest of the ones that I mentioned earlier will be live across all those platforms. Also, use that link down below in the descriptions for Element. Pick up a package, and they will send you a free bonus package with every purchase. And, of course, this episode is brought to you by BetUSTV.com, BetUSTV.com. Hey, they've got some great sports going on right now, and I got to be honest, there's more sports stuff and more odds and all the other stuff available on that site. So check it out at BetUSTV.com. And March Madness, man, you're coming up on, I think, the Elite Eight and coming up on the Final Four. Texas Tesla. Yeah, it's driving me crazy, man, because I can't remember the last time Texas Tech made it this far, if they ever did. And so it was nice to see them. I know me being here in Texas now, I start to follow the local colleges, and I'm
a little bit.
I was rooting for them. I was rooting for them. So, but overall, man, hopefully you guys enjoy the show. And John, take us away, bud.
For everyone out there, I hope you enjoyed it. Make sure that you contact ESPN. Tell them Gina Corano belongs on the list. We will see you.